Hello all and welcome. Thanks very much for joining us. This is the Lone Star Varsity Friday night high school recap show. I'm Phil Torino and we've got some crew in the building tonight. I don't know if you guys are ready for this. We have some crew. Everyone else at the AJ, they're out in Kansas preparing to cover Tech tomorrow. So they let the inmates run the asylum a little bit, and I think this one is going to be a lot of fun. I'm Phil Torino. We've got Carlos Silva here. Carlos is our new Reckham 247 editor. He's going to be contributing a lot as well to our high school coverage. Tonight he was at Brownfield to see Jalen Noland do really remarkable things against Tornillo. Brian Navarrete is in the building as well. He took a break from the friendship beat this week though. He took a look at Monterey and Coronado. We've also got Mike Labar in the building. Mike, we appreciate you. Mike has been doing an excellent job putting together the stat package that's been running in the paper every Friday. We're going to get into it tonight, all the results from the area games. I actually want to start, first of all, with Carlos because he broke the news tonight that officially we can now say Jalen Noland has received an offer from Texas Tech. Carlos, let's start with you. Your impression of Jalen Noland. You've been with us for a couple weeks now. I guess 2, right? You went down there, first impressions of him and the team.
Biggest thing I noticed was just watching him during the pregame. I mean, he's definitely got a huge arm. He was able to make some great throws, whether it was, 15 to 20 yard, kind of the ins and out. And then he was also able to drop one in as well. His one of 2 touchdowns that he had along with the 118 passing yards. Also showed his athleticism. I know I was telling you guys, and Mike was kind of joking with me. He really did it all. He had a 72-yard, punt return. Also had the 118 yards that I mentioned throwing. And then he also had a rushing touchdown as well. But the biggest thing was just seeing the defense of the Cubs just really step up. And as you mentioned, he did get the scholarship offer from Texas Tech. Said he got it earlier this week. Spoke to him. Said he was very excited. It's the only offer he has right now. Said he's definitely looking forward to seeing other offers from other schools, but right now it's kind of a big deal when you get the local college team to obviously give you a scholarship offer there.
And per Don Williams, the last FBS signee in football from Brownfield was, his name is escaping me right now, but it was back in either the 89 or 90 season, and that player went to Purdue. So it's been quite some time for Brownfield, at least as far as FBS signees in football are concerned. That's unofficial, but that's from Don Williams. So I think that's probably a pretty good indicator of where Brownfield has been with sort of a dearth of having Division I talent. Brian, normally cover Friendship. Tonight we had you at Monterey Coronado. Let's get right to it. Let's not sugarcoat it. I incorrectly picked Coronado to win this game. I kind of had a smirk on my face when they had a 13-0 lead at half, and it quickly turned to a frown when I saw that Monterey came back. Baylor Mitchell, very, very impressive. What happened tonight?
Basically, Coronado came out. They were able to get on the board, get up early. That 13-0 lead, you see Connor Dean.
Yes.
Actually, really looked like that was a kicker. He basically puts them there in that situation. Second half, defense really stepped up for Monterey. Coronado's offense kind of slowed down a little bit, but I think that was just an adjustment on Monterey's end because Coronado, there at the beginning, they just kept running the ball with Jeffrey McCutcheon.
Yes.
And that just wasn't cutting it in the second half. They got behind, or they didn't get behind. They ended up giving up a lot of the momentum, and Monterey really capitalized on it. Baylor Mitchell, whenever he gets in the red zone, he is very effective.
Is Mitchell a legitimate Lone Star Varsity Player of the Year candidate in your opinion?
Most definitely. If not, already decided Player of the Year.
Ooh. Big words. Big words right now. I think you're right. I think Danny Campos is in the discussion presently. I think you can't rule out a Jalen Noland as well. It's a lot of that is dependent on what he would potentially be able to do. Look, if this team remains undefeated and beats Shallow Water, then yeah, I think you might be putting him more into consideration, depending what they can do in the playoffs as well. But for right now, because Mitchell, if you recall, he didn't start last year as a starter. No. So I think he's kind of unheralded in that regard, and he's done great things. Mike, what do you have for us stats leaders? Let's get into it now. What do you got?
Okay, so for rushing yards right now, our leader is Cooper Ogle, who has 1,416 yards, followed by Grant Hilling. He has 1,374 yards, so it was a very close race there. As far as passing touchdowns go, Danny Campos had 4 tonight. That puts him at 30, and Nick Gerber, I believe, had 6 yesterday, so he's at 26. Also a very close race there. As far as the scoring offenses, offenses and defenses, you have Seagraves scoring 62 tonight, puts him at 369. New Deal is at 320, and Muleshoe is at 308. For the defense, Post another shutout, so they stay at 33. New Deal has allowed only 61 points all season, and Crosbyton has allowed only 66.
All right, big takeaways now. Brian, we spoke earlier in the week about Abernathy New Deal potentially becoming a compelling game. It was not a compelling game. Final score, Abernathy 46, Hell Center 7. I think that result right there demonstrates this district is just between New Deal and Abernathy. It's clearly New Deal's now, so you have to imagine Abernathy gets stuck in that second spot right there. That's a huge result over Hale Center, which is a team that had been playing well. You really have to wonder what in the world is occurring in Seminole right now because of the margins that this team is losing by. It just lost 62-0 last week to Levelland, 55-0 to Pampa tonight. Now, Pampa's a quality team. We know Brett Hicks is out for the year with Seminole, but they also lost their senior quarterback tonight to an injury. His name's escaping me that he had been filling in. They're going to play a sophomore now. I've heard that there might be a freshman in the mix as well. This has quickly turned very, very sour, I think, for Seminole. It's kind of a shame because I thought they were building in the right direction. If you look at some of the results it had earlier in the year, including like stunning Idalou in the first half of the game at Idalou, they lost that result. Shallow Water continues to roll. It had those 2 losses on its resume that were kind of an eyesore, but it's moved past that, I think. Idalou gets a big win over Tulia, 56-0. Once again, you're seeing Idalou continue to roll. It has helped getting Ty Nichols back. He started last week by playing a bit of defense. They're going to continue to work him in from that hamstring injury moving forward. Now, the biggest result, I think, tonight, at least for me, it's kind of twofold. The first, we touched on it a bit with Friendship losing to Tascosa because, that game ends a 23-game winning streak for the Tigers. So that's out the window now. This really makes things interesting in 2-6A. But I think Snyder holding on to a win at Stephenville, to me, is like unbelievable because now it came from we didn't think it was going to get a district win to having 2. And regardless of if it manages to get a win against Brownwood or Wiley moving forward, Snyder all of a sudden came from nowhere and it's going to end up in the middle of this district, which to me is super impressive.
If you look at the Tigers, they have a lot of talent there, a lot of athletic kids. I when writing the preview for them, I was talking with the head coach over there, James Polk. He has them doing CrossFit, so these very athletic kids, and I guess when all that kind of melds together on the field, it's a very competitive team.
Carlos, are we getting any questions from the public right now? Are they giving us any love or hate? What's the situation?
The only thing we've heard is just how's that Baylor game?
The what?
The Baylor game.
The Baylor game?
That's
I
what the
wasn't
public wants to
staffed
know.
at that one.
That's what the public wants to know.
We'd love some South Plains area questions, but if we get nothing from you guys, we're going to wrap up shortly. Of course, all our coverage is on LoneStarVarsity.com if you're looking for any of the results from tonight. We've also have videos throughout the week previewing some of these matches, these games. So if you want to go back and reference what we said before to how we did, we encourage you to do that. So we'll give you a quick second to see if we get any last-minute questions.
I figured we would touch base on Kennard.
Let's do it.
Over at Friendship.
Yes.
That's huge for them. If he's not able to return next week, I heard Bryce Kaiser took over at quarterback tonight. If he's not able to return, that team is not going to be as strong as it has been in the past. Kennard's a big part of that offense. He helps Ronald Awat get in space, and he kind of backs up the defense a little bit. It's just a concussion, so most likely he'll be back next week. But they got no backup outside of Kennard. Brock Herculiani,
Yes.
sophomore quarterback, I believe. He injured earlier this year. He won't be back, I don't believe. But outside of those two, Friendship does not have another signal caller back there.
It's interesting. I mean, it gets a comfortable result versus Monterey, but it makes you wonder what the Coronado and Amarillo High games will look like now moving forward. I think there's a lot of parity in 2-6A, and frankly, I don't think that about a lot of districts. I think we hear it a lot, but that's really just coaches not trying or trying to not lie, but not tell the whole truth either about their teams, because a lot of districts, are not competitive at all. As evidenced by a Brownfield 60-0 whitewashing of Tornillo, and just like how Kermit's going to get abused by everybody too in that district, same type of principle. So,
I think the Monterey Coronado game. Heading into this game, I was really hoping that this would kind of helped me figure out District 2-6A.
Yeah.
And all it's done is really, put a giant question mark on it for
Yep.
me. Monterey could go out and actually beat Amarillo, beat Tascosa.
You making predictions already?
Let's go Plainsman.
Any questions, Carlos?
No, just 3 users.
Cool. Guys, with that, we're going to wrap up. Thanks very much for watching. We really appreciate it. For Carlos, Brian, and Mike, I'm Phil. Thanks again. We appreciate it. We'll see you again next Friday.